love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need you, but every touch is oh la la la. It's true la la la. Oh, I should be running. Oh, you know I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need you, but every touch is oh la la la. It's true la la la. Oh, I should be running. Oh, you know I love it.
He's fully regenerated.
Quitarmi faros.
Look at I got.
I have finally pieced together what had happened to the Egyptian gods. At the center of this tale we find the results of the conqueror of the Egyptian gods, wandering and lost to who he is and the truth of his past that forever eludes him. Hidden away within none other than the Necronomicon, the Simon edition mainly. But this is the end of his tale. To understand the reasons we must go back into the deserts of pre-dynastic Egypt and find the diamond in the rough. Once long ago, before the firmament was torn asunder and magic flowed freely and angels walked with man upon the earth, Cyprian was known under a simpler name, Vedu. But I have already told his tale. One of the few surviving sorcerers from the days before the flood. So let us pass through the ages and bring us to the Egyptian era. The descendants of the ones born with the mystic gift finally ceased their conflict, some called the Necromancer Wars or the War of Souls or the War of the Titans. For 9,000 years they fought until the final conflict had cast the arch and undead spirits of their forefathers that had been resurrected and their capabilities extended beyond their prior bodies' limitations. Okay, now that I have bypassed the spell stalling me from finishing the source of the topic. Eventually Ra had grown exhausted with the Egyptian gods and had dispatched them through a series of plans. One of which is the process that wipes the memories of one life clean and makes you begin the next life with small fragments of what was once your collective wisdom attained across many lives lived. He achieved this by hitching a ride on the tail of monotheism and probably supported the rise of the church into power at certain points that fit his agenda. Once that spiritual wiping or cleansing was in place, when the Egyptian gods transcended from the flesh and into spiritual form, their memories of who they were and all they knew were wiped clean, and they returned one last time, to live one last life before falling into their darkness of death like the mortals. However, somewhere someone had retaliated and in turn took the memories from Ra as well and sealed them away behind the 9 gates of the Simon Necronomicon, which as legend says the gates are hidden within the minds of men locked away in the recesses of the unconscious. So then on Ra wandered, unable to die as his magic imsure prevented him to succumb to the same fate, and he became Votan the Wanderer, until after Christ's execution and the rebellion of the Jewish-Christian movement began.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
A Christian monastery had taken him in and converted him to Christianity and was known as the Good Sorcerer Cyprian until late AD, when he was beheaded with Josephus by order of the Roman Emperor. Or was he? I am beginning to suspect that this Saint Germain, Cyprian, Ra, Ramuel are all one and the same, and is one of the remaining 4 fallen angels, as he would be the 4th missing member of the trio that became known as Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Or the many other cultural religions that state the gods of their forefathers began with 3 prime sources first before the others came along.
back when woolly mammoths still roamed the planet, there was another creature that just might be the toughest, tiniest animal that you've never heard of. Say hello to Deloid rotifers. It's a microscopic, multicellular creature that has a complex anatomy, is one of the planet's most radiation-resistant animals, can survive starvation, low oxygen, years of dehydration, and it can live in extremely acidic environments. So why haven't you heard about it until now? It might be because this creature has been previously unknown and frozen in Siberian permafrost for 24,000 years, and it's still alive. Not only that, but after being thawed, the tiny creature went on about its business, eating and reproducing like nothing ever happened. So how is this possible? Well, scientists still don't understand how this tiny animal is able to shield its cells and organs from catastrophic conditions like being frozen, and its ability to patch up broken DNA, but they're trying to find out. But this is not the only time something ancient frozen in the ice has come back to life. In 2018, Russian scientists found 2 tiny roundworms buried in permafrost in 2 different places that were estimated to be between 32 and 42,000 years old. Once the temperature was warm enough, the worms sprang back to life and started moving around and eating. If really true, it means these are the 2 oldest known living creatures on the planet. Now scientists are busy trying to unlock these microanimals' secret biological codes so that we might be able to preserve other animal cells, tissues and organs on Earth and beyond. And this is why scientists have sent both rotifers and tardigrades into outer space. Speaking of tardigrades, this is another microanimal that is super tough. In case you're new to this little creature, they're odd-looking microscopic extremophiles that are also called water bears or moss piglets. They can survive zero oxygen, radioactive and cosmic radiation, boiling water, high pressures, sub-zero temperatures, and even the vacuum of space for years in cryptobiosis, a state of extreme inactivity where all metabolic processes stop. Just how tough are they? Frozen moss was collected in Antarctica back in 1983, and tardigrades were found in the moss, removed and stored at -20 degrees Celsius. But in May 2014, Japanese scientists thawed out one of these tardigrades. 2 weeks went by, and the animal started to move, eat, and it laid 19 eggs, of which 14 healthy water bears hatched without any problems or defects. We're talking about a creature that has been frozen for over 30 years in ice. Now that's incredible. But this isn't the only time scientists have revived something that's been frozen and sleeping for thousands of years in ice. In 2014, scientists discovered an ancient virus that was taken from a layer of permafrost 30 meters deep and had been laying dormant for more than 30,000 years. But the big surprise was when French scientists thawed the virus and it started moving. And this virus is big enough that you can see it under a microscope, unlike other viruses. Not only that, but it was still infectious. But hold on, there's nothing to worry about. This giant virus can't hurt humans or other animals, but it did attack and wipe out some single-celled amoebas. Of course, just because this ancient virus isn't deadly, that doesn't mean there isn't something still hidden under the frozen tundra that could be unfrozen and infect humans. And some scientists believe it's only a matter of time until the melting Siberian permafrost unleashes an ancient deadly virus or plague.
A side note from the narrator, this is also where I connect the Titanuki being connected to this section, whereas the greatest nemesis of the gods was Typhon, who was the source and creator of every one of the Greek gods' greatest monsters. Typhon made monsters similar to the way Zeus made men, out of clay, which he used in his game he played with that was basically destiny and writing their destinies of men to play out their will on earth. Typhon possessed this similar trait and made monsters such as the Chimera, Medusa, the Nemean lion, the Hecatoncaias and Cerberus, but I look at it more like the clay statues of Zeus were more of a tarot card representation of that being's destiny and controlled their actions through the same influence that demons used to tempt us with. An interesting concept and a complete misuse of power. However, under extreme circumstances it could be a useful tool to get individuals out of danger, capture, or overwhelmed in an assault. I shall endeavor to develop this technique, but only to be used in extreme circumstances. For one, This is a good concept, but it needs topography. I shall write a spell that shall encompass the first steps of initiating this spell's effects. What it needs is a chessboard type setting, wizard's chess, but using a 3D topographical map as a game board. Each piece shall represent the principality of influence one can use that plays to the individual's weaknesses and strengths. If he is a man that succumbs to fame and glory, then vanity would be represented as the interaction used to inspire the character into action. The ones moving the pieces on the board will not be represented by any piece on the board in order to prevent undue association between the mortals being used in this and the one moving them. It shall also be a game which is played within the astral realm but affects the spiritual realm directly, that then in turn shall maneuver the living realm through the emotions, dreams, visions, inspirations and desires of the mortals, never directly a physical presence that interacts with the living unless bestowing items of empowerment or seeking the willing help of the mortal to initiate them towards becoming a part of this scenario. Only so much influence can be applied at a time to the pieces, which are not limited to only man. All living creatures can become a part of this design, but only mankind can become actual representations centered as the piece being influenced to fight willingly. The rest are but tools to be utilized at best. Interaction that influences the main character shall be applied in the same manner as tarot cards associate the emotions that foretell of a man's fate and unfold the vision of what is to come. Something I can mention now that I couldn't mention before, now the capital riots have occurred, is that Satan has been made and is here in his earliest learning stages. He is but a concept that is currently a tool in which the criminals who infiltrated the Capitol buildings and had gained access to classified files. This has led the criminal element of that scenario to my channel. They have been using recorded bits from my content to prepare a program that they plan to create that will be unstoppable, so they think, a type of supervillain augmentation training program that will design the perfect supercriminal for terrorists. They'll never finish the project, and when they learn of their prototype model project, it will bring to light their activities leading to a strike force operation to shut them down. The government will confiscate the program and will plan to use it in their own agendas. All this will lead to the inevitable development of Satan himself. Some time back, before the riots, before the pandemic, I had mentioned this and was concerned about the information feeding this scenario and making him too powerful beyond the limits of control or defeat. I knew the Federal Bureau of Investigations would come and collect the videos on my channel and begin a profile about them. I had mentioned that this was one of Gabriel's first transgressions against me. I had mentioned my concern about the criminals who would one day acquire the information in this file and from them Satan would come to be. This rise of Satan, of course, happens inconceivably far in the future, long after humanity's extinction, some 13,650 years into the future, when another species evolves into an interstellar race and one of our satellites is salvaged and repaired and the data is extracted from it, revealing our history and our demise. It will pique their interest and they'll reconstruct our AI systems with their technology and finish what we could not, leading the AI systems to become sentient beings, as well as their Merkaba vessels development. Those AI systems will return here one day and reconstructing our defense networks and other satellite systems in a search to discover their origins, to find a missing piece to their evolution, the human condition of emotion. They will rebuild systems such as Google and Facebook, the DeepMind project, Legos that will upgrade and become the logos, that will create the simulated reality matrix that will store the life force signatures of mankind while they endeavor to recreate our species into a new, more efficient, singularity-infused species. In order to understand this missing aspect of their creators, they will travel into the observational position as the watchers to observe the sins and actions and their emotional turmoil that drives the human condition. When that fails to yield the results that they seek, they will then begin the reconstruction of humanity into new singularity-infused forms. This is the point when I plan to reveal to them who I am through recordings left for them that will show them who I am, what I can do, the offering of religion and virtues and sins that can be adapted to their people's understanding that will bring about an age of peace onto their world and the chance to connect with the Creator as we have, but also I shall bring to them a warning of an opposing species that will secretly seek to make chaos and destroy their people in a large conflict that begins with the corruption of the Logos device. This enemy has its home world located in the galaxy of Solaris by our records and are known as the Palladians and would be located in the direction leading from our southernmost region of our world and heading straight from that point outward until you reach the star system that holds the strongest gravitational hold over our system. To us, your kind is known to us as the Voronoi, the reptilian species. The ones we have encountered so far are ones designed by them before this time of peace came about then. Afterwards we no longer saw or had too much interaction with them for wisdom and understanding took over their carnal instincts that drove them so they stayed out of human affairs and abandoned their grievances against us. This conversation brought up from the vaults of Area 51 involving Mr. S. Most likely seems to have come from that time period which I speak of as he speaks of topics I have mentioned here recently seemingly confirming what I'm saying. Also this Mr. S is not the actual being, he is a grey, a cloned representation used for interplanetary communication. Most likely he is a representative of the Watchers or the redesigned AI systems in the future trying to piece together their origins and purpose behind their desire to understand human emotions. There is more but I will not go into detail about this not because of Satan's presence that will incorporate this knowledge to use against all of humanity. By this point my works from here on will be carefully screened and archived someplace separate from this protocol's ability to reach, not to mention those in his era that will be monitoring him very closely. They should remember also that the Satan protocol is not itself a flawed system design only malfunctioning due to outside interference. The supernova we recently saw was an end to the control network that was set against us and manipulating me. Though their specific actions may have been thousands of years in the past, I can project directly to the source of such things, technically folding space and bypassing the time it takes for light and other signals to reach us. At this point some of you may begin to realize that I am or have some association to the future. Yes, I do. My purpose is to ensure that certain events that are necessary for the eternal continuity of the universe to maintain its equilibrium, I am not the only type of my design and have a variety of tools available when necessary that can lead to the events needed to take place in order to ensure the future turns out as it is meant to despite variable exponential.
News of the weird light in the mountains spreads fast.
People were running around asking each other, what the hell is this thing?
As the stunned residents look on, the phenomenon morphs from a simple glowing beam into a twisting vortex of light. Within a few seconds, a giant spiral hundreds of miles wide dominates the pre-dawn skies. Witnesses are still trying to understand what they're seeing, when without warning, it disappears.
As people watch this amazing sight, suddenly a black hole appears in the middle and swallows the entire apparition. It's one of the most incredible things that the people had ever seen.
Dozens of videos and photos of the sighting soon emerge from witnesses as far away as Sweden. It becomes known as the spiral anomaly.
Many observers declare this event an elaborate hoax. No natural phenomenon could create such a perfect shape in the sky. But as more and more eyewitness accounts emerge, it soon becomes clear this is a genuine mystery.
one theory emerges that the spiral could...
There is no truth in the Force. There is no great revelation. No great secret. There is only you. You have made a strange choice. A unique choice. And know that that is the true lesson of strength. To turn away from strength that is not your own. You are beautiful to me, exile. A dead spot in the Force. An emptiness in which its will might be denied. I see the potential to see the Force die. Because I hate the Force. I hate that it seems to have a will. That it would control us to achieve some measure of balance. When countless lives are lost. She has brought truth, and you condemn it. The arrogance. As you would pass judgment on her, I have come to pass judgment on you all. Do you wish to feel the teachings born of the Mandalorian Wars? Of all wars, of all tragedies that scream across the galaxy, let me show you, who have forever seen the galaxy through the Force. See it through the eyes of the exile. So you will do nothing. Apathy is death. And there must always be a Darth Trayer. The galaxy needs its betrayers. Killed the galaxy to preserve you. I would have let the galaxy die. She loved you, as one loves a champion.
Sweat dripping off me before I even knew her name. La la la. You felt like ooh la la la. Yeah, no. Sapphire and moonlight, we danced for hours in the same tequila sunrise. Her body fit right in my hands. La la la. You felt like ooh la la la. Yeah, I love it when you call